Daddy Mac. Dan's 30 years got our way, trading life and markets every day. Rusty's chained to the mines, digging deep day by day. But when Option Omega releases new features, he's free to come out and play. Option Omega, you're trading home, where every move makes you feel less alone.
I got this dog outside, and he's driving me insane. I let him out. I let him back in. He lays down for a second. He says, I want to go out again. I take him out. He stares at the gate, just immediately starts barking. It's 21 degrees outside, so I do have a responsibility towards him. But if I have to take off here in a second and you hear me just yelling at a dog, understand that he's hard of hearing, so it's not yelling. It's just talking to him.
This is a challenging, maybe one of the bigger decisions in the last month for the dog is, hey, we have 21-degree weather. I kind of want to go out, but this is a little nippy.
Yeah.
And he just wants a quick response from you. That's all.
Yeah. My wife's real good at knowing the difference in barks. I'm not as good at recognizing it, but he's got I'm hungry bark. I'm bored bark. He's got all these things, as I do too. So listen, last night,
similarities.
Tons of similarities. A little big, a little slow, not that sharp. Last night, sirens buzzing, Iran strikes are imminent. I made a fatal flaw. Now, first off, I want to just say, I don't want America to use its military force in general. I think it's good when we don't do that. Saying that, I drank a coffee about 5 p.m. because I was looking forward to monitoring the situation. I got my wife some Mexican food. I said, I'm going back to the cigar shop to monitor the situation.
You're smelling Val. Be honest.
That's right. That's right.
All right.
Nothing came. I lay in bed at 10:30, and for the next 3 hours, just can't sleep because of that caffeine. So thank you, President Trump, for not striking Iran. President Trump, just give me a heads up before I drink coffee past 3 p.m.
Let me ask you, did you do a preemptive? Did you load up on some Val plays? Be honest.
Yeah. But I feel so far like I played it pretty well. So what I did basically is I kept it simple. I bought put spreads 6 days out because I figured that even if they didn't do it over last night, he has a tendency to do it on the weekend.
He's a big weekend guy.
He pays attention to the market. And so he likes to do it. And Martin Luther King Jr. Day Monday, 3-day weekend, do a little strike.
Time to digest
Because the market loves a good digestion. And then I bought put spreads or call spreads expiring. Sorry, not call spread. Butterflies expiring today to the upside. So I'm going to be fine.
I like that. I like that little butterfly. Broken or balanced butterflies?
That's a good question. We're going to do this live real quick and see. I've got this 67. What do I got here? No, sorry. I got the 69.75 strike, the 7,000 strike, 7,015 strike. So it's a broken wing.
Oh, so you're a little long delta. You're
long delta,
5, 15 or so. Okay, so you're in good shape on a day like today.
Yeah, exactly. So, JD's Canon, do we covet other people's assets? As a general question, I think that's a great question. No, we don't. So we got that going into it. It's fine. Looking good for the day, looking good for the weekend. But I'll tell you what, I don't like that feeling past 40, like laying in bed when you can't sleep. It's about the most miserable feeling.
Especially when it's volatility related.
When there's a situation to monitor.
Yeah.
Well, worse is when you thought there was a situation.
And there's no situation. Yeah. Well, I'll just say this. I felt like last year, I know this is like an eternity ago. Let me turn the clock back like 9 months to April. That whole tariff thing really took a while to bake out. Like it took a while to cook the cake, but the market was kind of at all-time highs. And then this was clearly premeditated. You can argue how well or well not it was executed at the press conference, but this had been baking for a while. And I think the point I'm trying to make is I think Trump wanted something to get done, and the market happened to be at all-time highs when that process started. I don't know if they want to get something, if they want to get something done in Iran, if there's going to be action. But as I look at the market, yes, literally right now, it just ticked 7,000 exactly. So close to all-time highs again. I think Trump pays a lot of attention. And I think if he's going to do something, or the US is going to do something that involves volatility and a potential sell-off, they have a keen awareness. And if the market's at all-time highs, they might feel like they have more room to run. I know people come here for the punditry, Troy. Many people have said, I tune into the...
You guys are tough. You guys are tough.
Well, it's true. No, I'm being dead serious. Yeah. I got DMs from people who said, I love when you guys talk about this stuff on the show, because they know we only talk about it for like 15 minutes and the rest of the time is content. And they know we have 5 other shows or 4 other shows of content all the time.
Yeah.
So there's a few people that ask for it. So we're responsive to the people. And of course there's people that don't like it. And so we have to weigh it. But here's my point.
7 people don't like it.
7 people don't like it. There's a 3-day weekend coming up, market's close to all-time highs. So I'm not like loaded up on puts. I'm just saying, Troy, I can see your point. And I think last April was an interesting data point of one. Well, kind of
it'll be interesting to see today if vol bakes off at all.
Yeah, because we're back up to almost
Dan
16.
VIX had a meaningful move yesterday.
Well, it was up 2 points. It was really starting to get a little feverish. And then it seemed like right when they, correct me if I'm wrong, right when they, I saw someone mentioned it, one of the guys mentioned it, that right when they decided that they weren't, SCOTUS, is that the right way to say it? SCOTUS wasn't going to make a comment on they weren't going to deal with the tariff right at that moment. It seems like vol went from up 2 points in the VIX to up 1, like in seconds. And the market started rallying. But can I ask a couple questions on Iran? I am not a expert. I'm a yo-ho at best.
None of us are. That's what makes it so fun
to talk about. But I'm just speaking from a normal guy from Panera Bread, right? Sitting at Panera Bread discussing these things. And I don't, correct me in the chat or anybody if I'm wrong on any of this, please, I'll admit it quickly. But when you think about any country, right? What do people want? All right, I want security, right? That we can walk out and, and coming from Chicago, we're not getting that. People aren't getting that as much, that you can be safe. The other thing, call me crazy. You want to eat, right? Make sure there's food and water. And in Iran,
story of my life.
Yeah, a story of my life. In Iran, did I hear this correctly? They've had a water shortage and they're looking at moving. I don't know, correct, maybe give the better side of the story, man. They're looking to move. All right, so you got people that, the security thing has been bubbled, right? Obviously, with the United States coming in, they're not, security could be questionable. Do we have security? But now it's hitting home, no stinking water, right? And food. And if I'm a, 18 to 22-year-old, anybody, I'm not just saying Iranian, but US, Iranian, anybody, I'd be a little, hey, I thought things were okay. Matt, could you or Troy, would you elaborate on that a little bit?
I just got one thing to say before I'll cook it to Troy. That's a great question. I don't know the answer. And have you, in trying to research that answer, this is a question for the chat. Am I crazy, or does it feel like there's just much less talk and coverage in the media about Iran than one would expect?
Yeah.
I actually feel like it's really hard to get information on it. Am I crazy, chat? I don't know if anybody else is trying to monitor the way Troy is. Troy, do you feel like there's a different information flow from Iran than you would expect, considering the magnitude? I mean, this is Persia. This is a significant place and has been for thousands of years.
Yes.
There's massive suffering and a potential massive change that hasn't been seen basically since this 50 years, can we say, since the last major change was that maybe 50 years ago. If there's anybody who's an expert, let us know. But Troy, do you feel like it's been a different frame to get information on?
Well, there's two things happening. Is I think there's a little bit in the sense of taco, that there's an idea that until something happens, nothing happens. So we're not going to overly talk about it. Now, as far as the revolution part itself, I think there's a little bit also of awareness that like the Arab Spring, how that didn't necessarily end well for every country that participated in it. So in general, I think there's like a very pro-revolutionary media bias.
What's the Arab Spring again? I know
that's when a couple of countries, Egypt included, basically got rid of their dictators that they had for 50 years, but quickly was replaced by even worse people.
But not in every country. That was different on a country by country basis. Yes.
But what I'm saying is that
happened in multiple countries.
That condemns some media kind of pro-revolution, especially the other thing is there's no clear leadership. And because especially that of the Arab Springs, I don't know, in general, people are pro change, but I think also there is a little bit of an awareness of saying like everybody who's pro change all the time doesn't necessarily count the cost of what change looks like and is it good change and things like that. And I'm not pro Iran or anything like that, but just saying the fact from a media bias. So
yeah,
that's my 2 cents of it.
Dan, transition question: is Dan getting paid commission by Panera Bread?
Well,
I can't answer that. I'm not Dan. We'll let Dan answer it, but I will say the OO show sponsorship is still, Troy, we still have a slot open.
So and I'll tell you what, Panera,
Panera,
just to let you know, for those of you who are,
Dan, tell them.
Yeah, they just got I just got it in the mail yesterday.
Is there a new SIP club?
It's down to, for the next 3 months, I think. Yeah. For the next 3 months, it's $7.50.
No,
$7.50 a month. I don't know if that's if you're in the SIP club or something. If you renew, but I saw $7.50 a month.
Look at the top of coffee. Look at the banner at the top, though.
What?
$4 a month.
Oh, $4 a month. Oh, they're trying to get people in.
Dan, I have a question for you about Panera. Let me just go there right now. I don't have that offer on mine. Oh, yes, I do.
Do you see it?
So, longtime member. I was about 16 months.
Okay.
And my son got very upset when they got rid of the lemonade. Did you ever try the lemonade? It was.
No, I heard it was very good.
So there was a regular lemonade, but there was a Fresca pink cherry. It was like I can't remember. It was a pink mint, and it was the best drink ever. And I'm just letting you know, I'm going to be re-signing up for the $4 for 4-month SIP club because they closed our Panera, moved it a mile closer to our house, and now it's in a brand new building, and I drive by it every day.
Oh.
So who's going to be sipping?
That is
the household.
Yeah, I'll give you the only Panera dilemma, which is kind of interesting. In the one that I go to is a busy one. It's just the location is.
There's a lot of monitoring going on there.
But the big dilemma, and this is for coffee people, do you like drip coffee, just normal drip coffee, or do you like the foo-foo, right? Or do you like the
Starbucks?
Yeah, I mean, good grief. And so, but the problem is a couple things going on at Starbucks. They're coming back. They were, I think, I don't know if they were getting ready to sell or whatever, but suddenly in the Knoxville one is one of the busiest Starbucks around. They suddenly, what you would do when you're real busy, very logical, cut half the workforce almost, right? Very logical when you're really busy. So people were, long lines out the door at lunch. Finally, okay, maybe this isn't working. Let's go back, blah, blah, blah. But the big dilemma with the coffee is, all right, it's a lot of work to keep these little tanks of, you have decaf, hazelnut, light roast, dark roast, and they don't keep them up as much, right?
Yeah.
So you're constantly saying, sir, can you please give us some more light roast?
We just want the coffee.
Yeah, it takes 20 minutes. Well, not everybody, you come in, get your coffee, and you go to work. So some of the Starbucks, like in Chicago, or the Panera in Chicago, what they did is they got rid of drip coffee, and they got in these two, just like you would at a gas station, where they have the beans in there, and you just put your coffee in. It's kind of dummy proof. You press a button, large cup, small cup, large cup, half a cup or a full cup, and you do that. But the problem with that is, I talked to one of the Panera managers. They stopped that experiment a little bit because the machines are constantly breaking, and sometimes it could take a week to get a mechanic over. So it's just interesting, these dilemmas but basically the Panera model, I'm not saying it's like Costco, but they, if they would just not screw it up, wouldn't you say, Troy? I mean, they're getting as many people as, because you got in the morning, you got all the bagels and breakfast sandwiches, lunch, the soups. I mean, people will come if you just make it just make sure you have enough stuff there, right?
I listen, I don't understand why people, it's pretty simple to me. What do I want? I want a seat like this that I can go to and I can work like this. There's a screen above me. I want a tube for water, a tube for coffee, and a tube for soda. And I want to be able to smoke all throughout the day with the thing. And, I don't understand. I mean, make it happen, people.
That's right.
I agree. Guys, can I just bookend this, Troy? And then I think Troy's about to show us a back test. Final thing on the subject of liquids. I have something, actually, I can see it in the reflection on my glasses. I have something pulled up on my other monitor, and I saw there was a study. I haven't looked at it yet. The title, Diet Coke is healthier than water, ? So
wow,
I'm going to be monitoring that situation later today. We will have an update on that in the next week. I can't promise it'll be tomorrow. So Troy's got a back test for us. What happens if we take Greenland? Does gold go up or down? Troy's at a gold model. Do you have a model of GLD? What do you got?
But if we take green, listen, I'll say this. I mean, from the market, people say, well, if you talk about the market with it, it's fine. If we take, actually, us taking Greenland by force would be more. It actually would be worse for the market than Iran. I'll put that out there.
I agree. I think I'll make a prediction. I think a deal gets done in Greenland. It might take a while. I think it's going to be a financial and trade transaction. That's just my guess. Yeah. I don't know. Listen, if you're a Dane, I'm not saying I'm pro it or I'm for it. I'm just saying that's my punditry. Sorry. We're getting back. The people love the punditry. The chat is alive. There's a bunch of other comments we didn't address, but Troy, I know you want to show. Is it a model or a back test? I think I
got a back test today. So listen,
let's hit it.
We're doing the small account challenge stuff. Okay. And for those who don't know, who didn't watch the video this week, I mean, we launched a small account challenge. And so we've got this stuff. The people have wanted it. And so we did it. So you can go to optionomega.com/small account challenge. You can go down here, sign up for the research. We will send you the research. So we'll send you a playlist that is not public for you to watch. But along the lines of that, we had a bunch of back tests that didn't make it in for various reasons. And not a lot of the reasons were because of the singular back test. It was how that back test interacted with the other tests we wanted to put into that portfolio. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to share a test today that I traded actually a bunch last year. And I don't know if we actually ever did it or not, talked about it on the show. But I figured, people are liking to people like talking about this stuff, and so wanted to show one. This is a friend of mine, J-Dog, shout out J-Dog's first trade. And he sent it to me. It's one of the first tests he did. And I was surprised at how well he tested. So shout out J-Dog. Not because he's not smart, he's super smart, but it takes a while to get used to testing. And he sent me a banger straight away. So I traded it with him, and I was like, I'm going to trade this with you. And it actually did pretty well. But I want to show you one thing that's very funny. You see that little line there, right there, to end. That was very much what I noticed about it as well in my own trading. So,
the line that goes this way,
the
right?
very last,
the back side of the mountain.
Yeah, the line that goes down a lot.
And what's the date on that line? What's the date?
That drawdown was about, I would say, November, December, if I recall correctly. So this probably could be improved upon, and probably that drawdown go down. But I thought it was an interesting test, and even with the, even with that big drawdown.
Which we'll call tradition. That line is called tradition. You start trading something.
That's right.
Yeah, tradition.
Right. Now, to be fair, I caught it about right here. I caught it about June, July. So we were still up on the trade. But I'm going to share it, and we can talk a little bit about it.
Yeah.
And I wanted to talk a little bit about this because also we have this other show. Shout out Mark Anderson. Fix My Backtest. And we looked at a 1428 DC this week, and we were talking about the differences sometimes between credit selling and DCs. And I thought it'd be good just to talk a little bit about DCs today and how this is a perfect test for it. Why they're so much harder to get a grasp on than credit selling. And obviously there's plain reasons to see that, but maybe some more complicated reasons to see that. Because shout out Mark Anderson. Mark Anderson is a very smart guy, much, much smarter than me. And he can grasp anything I can grasp. And so, but I thought it was an interesting discussion. So, Matt, first off, what are we looking at here?
Well, what's interesting to me is this is a 1028 DC. And its entry filter is a short long. So it's needing a certain amount of juice between the shorts and the longs. And it's a 1028. It's got really just a couple rails. It has an upside rail, which you want, a downside rail, which you want, which are put tested. So a different way of using an exit past. A lot of folks use Delta. Before Delta, we had exit with put tested. The nuance between those is Delta changes over time. Put tested, call tested is static. And then it has an exit time. So you're not getting late in the day on 0DT. It doesn't have a tent sag, but it's a 1028. So Troy, did you feel like when you traded this, did it need a tent sag ever? Did you have much tent sag with a 1028?
Well, to be honest, in my zone last year with these type of cues, I wasn't really paying attention too much to tent sag. DCs, this is kind of the thing that I think gets people a lot with DCs. I mean, I've got a DC on right now in my, not the small account challenge DCs, but the another one that will remain nameless, but I'll say it's very similar to this. On any given day, you're up 20% on that thing, and 3 hours later, you're up 4% on it.
Yeah.
Right. Like the movement is a lot. But the hard thing with them is people say, well, I took it off because that's ridiculous. Just take it off at 20%. And the problem is if you backtest taking 20%, it doesn't perform well. So the weird thing with these things is you have to let them play out how you backtest it, right? Which is very similar to credit selling and things like that. The difference is I do think that sometimes with credit selling, taking profit, we talked about this on the show Tuesday, can be a little bit more difficult than the DCs. We'll talk about that in future shows, why. That's as Matt says, a cappuccino to answer the question of saying, tent sag is always changing to me. Like tent sag really only matters to me as you approach T0. That's the way I look at it personally. Now, Matt, you might disagree, and that's completely fine. How do you perceive tent sag? Dan, how do you perceive tent sag going into something? Would you look at tent sag pre-setting it up?
Well, I mean, to me, there's a couple things on this one. Are you talking tent sag to me? If you're looking at a, 1x3 is different consideration to me than if I'm looking at a tent sag in this trade, 10x28. They're whole different ball games, right? Yeah. It's like comparing a canoe to a streamliner. Maybe that's a bad analogy, but they're different strategies. On a 10x28 here, did you just model that 10x28?
Yeah, I'll do it again.
Was that that's what it is right now?
Yeah, that'd be what it.
If it was put on when?
Right. If you opened it right now.
Okay. I have one question, then a few comments. Question for Matt mentioned, I didn't see that in the beginning, that the beginning criteria was a short-long ratio.
Right. It's in miscellaneous. It probably
miscellaneous. I got you. I didn't see that. All right. Thank you. Yeah. Thanks for, but I think with this, the two things, if you're thinking like fix this back to, or things that I would look at, I mean, obviously it looks good. I mean, again, when you look at a trade like this, to me, a lot of it is you're starting out with decent probability, right? You got a 20 delta on the call side on the short, and you have a 15 on the puts. So it should have, right? You should have some success in this from a delta point of view. Now it's the middle of the graph. For me, like in a volatility environment like right now, 15 and under, I don't care about I'm not gonna say I don't care. That's a wrong word. I'm not, can't think of a better word. I don't care about as much on this to 10 and something like this at a 15 or lower. If we were 18, 19, or 20, even though I know that gets a lot of DC people, yes, we like this if it's going down, but I don't like going from 18 to 15, right? Yeah. That type of thing. So I don't mind the tent sag when VIX is 15 or lower. The only thing, the other thing here, guys, does it seem, now this is Qs, and I'm more familiar with SPX, but do the exit -7 and -11, does that seem a lot to you guys?
Seems a lot.
Okay, so that's the only thing
Here's the thing. Here's an interesting topic, though, and I don't want to sideline this topic, but I was actually thinking about that exact thing, Dan, because I personally had a bunch of DCs get wrecked with the down move yesterday, and I have rails on them, so it's expected. The wreckage is expected. It still doesn't feel great to see it, especially when you have a trade that's up. Then we have a down move the day of expiration. You're like, oh, I'm going to be in good shape. Down move keeps going, you get wrecked. There are people who do what this backtest does and something else who probably aren't going to get wrecked like I did. And they either allow it to go much further in the money or just have a timed exit. And that can cause a couple things. But on a day like today, I would wager, if I had like a Thursday, Friday DC, which I did, I would wager if I look at the value right now, my DC would be in amazing shape instead of getting wrecked for a 40 on a delta move. So I think this is a choice that people make of how far out to put the rails. And that's what backtesting for, right? Yeah. I will say this, the farther you let a DC go in the money, in general, the tougher your exit is going to be if you have to get out. A lot of times the market may revert, but your slippage could be gross. Oh, the chat just said the same thing. Yes, these wide rails, the slippage can be pretty gross if you let it go that far in the money. So I use 3 cents on a QDC that I'm trading right now. I'm trading a 1.3. It's the chances of it going that deep in the money are pretty minimal. And like yesterday, it got wrecked, it got exited, and it had 4 cents exit slippage, which is not great, which is more than I've accounted for, but I understand why. It was also exiting on a huge red candle, and it was exiting to the downside. Vol was accelerating. It makes total sense. So I think it's a matter of how people set up the back tests. I will say this one final thing. Again, the chat just said this too. The symbol does matter. With a DC that's on a ticker that's assignable, you have different risks and different benefits than one that's cash settled like SPX. So we've talked a lot about that. If you guys haven't watched the show, we've spent a lot of time on that. We'll probably continue to talk about it. So Troy, what do you think about the rails?
Well, I agree. I mean, I look at that and, it doesn't, I mean, I traded it, so it didn't bother me that much. I'll put it that way.
Yeah.
But I think, definitely I've seen that happen. And it's kind of a danged if you do, danged if you don't situation, because if you have put tested, right, you get a sharp move down, it sucks. It sucks at 932 or whatever to be delta exited or put tested, even
on a day like yesterday where it comes back, right?
Especially hurts those days because you get out and then it comes back. And so, I've always probably lost a lot more money than not doing that, trying to keep in a trade that I should have got out of. And so that situation's tough.
Yes.
I will say to the thing, and then I want to talk about the modeling of this a little bit. One of the things, you think to yourself, you might love this. You're like, this is a huge MAR. Why did you not put this in small account challenge? The reason we didn't put small account challenge is because of 2 things. One, the cost of this trade,
It's expensive.
is an expensive, in a 5K account, you're allocating 20%, 15-20% of your account to one trade.
And maybe every day.
Yeah, no,
you have a limit.
That's exactly right. And so that was I'm fine with that in my own account. I mean, because I can deal with it portfolio wise and I can deal with it with percentage wise. It's not, putting out a Q trade every day is not hurting me. But in a small account challenge, it does hurt you. And so you can't do it. And it's that simple. It's that type of analysis where it's like, well, that's a great trade. We should be really aggressive. My whole point with this is to show people that you don't have to be super aggressive because options are already a leveraged product.
Yeah.
Right. And so 2, if you're new to the platform and you're just learning DCs in general, the modeling tool is actually a good learning lesson, because let's model this again. And you think to yourself, and Dan actually spoke to this. Dan said, I don't really care what the tent looks like at a 14 VIX.
On a 1028.
On a 1028. I do care what it looks like at a 19 VIX. Why is that? Well, here's why. Right now, you look at this and you say, well, that sucks. That's not a good looking graph, and we're going to go here. And I'm barely good. I have to go down here. Well, that's not the way this works with DCs, because your whole point is what you actually want to happen is you want vol to be low when you put these on to some extent, because you want it to actually go like this, right? That's what you want, is you want it to vol to expand and your graph to end like that. What people do a lot of times, and I certainly did it when I first started trading DCs, I would wait till the graph looks like this. And I'd be like, oh man, how could I lose on this DC? This DC is going to be awesome. Well, how I could lose is if 5 days into the trade, 4 days to expiration, whatever, it does that.
Which happens all the time.
Yeah.
All the time.
Especially on a long trade like this from vol to go to 24 to 14. That can happen.
That's a good point. I mean, in their it's not like you can't tell. So I like that lower vol as far as entering. But if you're, okay, you got earnings coming up, you got different things, it's a little more risky. But if you think, hey, is it ever wrong to put a DC, in my opinion, when the vol is 18? No, if you think it's going to stay up there a little bit, it's wonderful, because the euphoria is, oh, I get wider break evens from here to New Zealand, right? I get wide break evens. It looks beautiful. As long as that vol stays up there a little bit, right? You're a hero. Can I just say just one DC comment that I struggle with? And I think that you're not going to confront in the world of credit spreads, right? In the world of credit spreads, let's be honest here. Let's talk straight here. You're not going to deal with 30, 40% wins or losses. What losses you could, but 30, 40% winners. And when you look at the world of DCs, in some trades, right, man, Troy, you're making as much in one trade, right? One trade as most people would drool over for a year. One trade. Because, when you look at a DC and you let it go to expiration or whatever, and it works, whether it be a 1, 3, 5, whatever you want, it goes to expiration. That's not unusual, as Tom Jones would say, 30 to 50%. And so for a lot of people out there, that even kind of conversation drives them crazy because they're like, you guys are nuts. What's going on here? Can you really make 30 to 50% on a debit transaction? Yes. But from a mental point of view, I've struggled with that the last year and the automation. I've got, I keep hearing Matt in the background of my voice saying, Dan, trust the back test. Dan, trust the back test. And that's one of my New Year's resolutions is trade, trust the back spread because they are wonderful, right? In terms, trust the data, right? Trust the data. But psychologically, I've never in my life, and I'm not patient to begin with, to leave something on and it's 25% and keep my hands off it. That's tough, right? I need a straitjacket. Yeah. I mean, and it's just, but it's trusting the data. And how do you, Matt, do you see that in like beginner DC
all the time? I literally, as you're saying this, I'm looking at one that I am trading live, and I mentioned it, and I'll drop a link to this video because I put a whole video on this. And it goes about trusting the data, and it lost 19% this week. It lost $44. And I made the comment, I think I had some kind of nasty slippage. So the live trade lost $44. Do you know how much the back test lost? $44. So point is, like, this back test is at a 1.2% capture rate over 12 trades. It's actually, the live trade is actually higher than that. And so like that, I don't like that. It doesn't feel great. But when I run that same back test through dailies, do I see time periods similar to right now? Yes, I do. It's still up. It's still a plus PE trade. Now, if this is the only trade I was doing and I didn't have, the experience that I do, how would I be feeling? Probably not great, but it's 2 weeks, or it's one good week from an all-time high. Yeah, it's been churning since basically the end of August. But I look over the history of trading this now in most of 22, 23, 24, 25, and part of, a couple weeks into 26. So basically 4 years, I'm just going to trust the back test. So it's down 0.37% this year. Last year, it was up 12% on a one lot. Again, on a one lot. Like, that's almost what the SPX was up on a one lot in a $5,000 back test. This was up 12% last year. And I think week 12 here of matching the back test, I'm getting a pretty good data example that, yeah, it's pretty consistent. So I'm just going to continue to trust the data. If you're interested in that video, we've actually today tried to link whenever we reference something. If you look in the YouTube chat, we've got links for it. So there's links to the Mark Anderson video that was discussed. There's links to the small account challenge. If you're interested in a video that shows, hey, how similar in a DC was the automation platform to the backtest. We've got a whole deep dive video, and I'll drop it in the link right now. So as for me and my house, we will continue to trade this trade and trust the backtest. Now, if the backtest goes through a period that it never has before, I'll reevaluate. But right now, it's doing stuff that it's done before. It's easy when you look at something, when you look at a backtest that's plus 3 years, 4 years. How would you feel when you were in a 4-month drawdown 3 years ago? Like, Troy, do you ever think about that? Like, you're trading something and it's done this before, but were you trading this exact thing 4 years ago? And if so, how were you feeling during a 3, 4, 5, 6 month drawdown or flat period?
4 years ago, I want to say that was like Vietnam. I don't remember 4 years ago. I don't remember 6 months ago. Dan, you were going to say
Costco.
That's right. Dan, you were going to say something. We're going to wrap it up.
Oh yeah, no, just say one thing in the world of risk management, and that's why, what I like is I've learned a lot with the OO data and you guys with the MAR, right? I knew what Mars was. The only MAR I knew was the Mars in Chicago. You have a Mars factory where they have the Mars candy, and it was very, very tasty. But the MAR involves drawdown. And for me as a risk manager, I look at this. I don't care what, as long as the strategy has some kind of edge, probabilities, whatever, and that's where the back tester. A principle of risk management is, look, if you're going to do 100 of these trades a year, whatever the trade is, however you want to look at it, the drawdown is basically, I can't lose that much more than my winners. This thing isn't going to be successful, right? I mean, it's a bigger dilemma in the world of credit spreads, right? Because you're trying to make a buck to lose $900 or whatever. So you have to, as Barney Fife said, nip it in the bud. But in the world of double calendars,
that's right.
It's perfectly fine. If I'm pulling a 30 or 40% winner, losing 20%, you're not even rubbing your toe after that one. I don't care, right? So it's all that relation to, that's why I think the MAR is so important, right? Because the MAR involves the drawdown, right?
That's right. And the MAR involves the drawdown, and then you can look at I think you're making the point about winners and losers, Dan, right?
Period.
Like the relationship.
Yeah.
Troy, I don't know if you have anything planned for tomorrow, but we could dig into that tomorrow, the relationship between winners and losers, win percentage, maybe even black swan risk.
Most of my high school career was digging into the data between winners and losers.
There it is.
And,
the glory days.
Wow. All right, listen, guys, have a great trading day. And